Hello friends, my name is Shayla and today I'm here to wrap up my reading month for the month of October so far. I will be wrapping up October 1st through the 16th. I know we're a couple days past that upon the filming here. This is Saturday the 19th, 20th, I forget. One of those two. And so I've had a bad depression week. I've talked about this a little bit on my other socials, but things are back to normal. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to start with the digital reads and then we'll go from there. So first up, we have Down Too Deep by J. Daniels. This is an e-arc that I received. This is a single parent romance where we're dealing with a man who's really not had much to do with his daughter after his then wife died. And he's just had family watching her, but now he's in her sole care. And he ends up having a friend of a coworker who's also a single parent with 2 children watch his daughter for him, and they kind of form a relationship there. It's really sweet. It's really cute. I definitely really like J. Daniels' writing. I will definitely be picking up more J. Daniels in future as well. Next we have Neanderthal Seeks Human. I listened to this one via audio. This is by Peggy Reed. And I have to say that for the most part, I enjoyed the story that was happening. There were some things within the dialogue and within the inner monologue, particularly of our main character, that were a little bit bothersome to me. I would probably give this a 3-star, just because it was kind of exhausting being in our main character's head, because she uses facts to cope with the kind of life that she's had up to this point. And it's a really important discussion, and I really like what's happening for the most part, but her inner monologue can be exhausting and a little too drawn out at times. And I felt like we got some repeats of facts and things as the story began to go on, which was a little overkill for me personally. But I have to say, I did continue on to the sequel. I finished that in the second half. I guess I could just talk about that right now, which is the part 2 of this story, which is Neanderthal Marries Human. And the inner monologue isn't quite as exhausting in that one. I feel like because of what's going on in our main character's life, she's able to more easily deal with things and doesn't rely on the facts so much, so we're not drawn out in her head too much. So that's just something I personally felt about the book, and that's why I gave it 3 stars instead of like a 4. Next we have Ransom by Julie Garland, something like that. I buddy read this with my friend over on Instagram. I will leave her handle link down below. Her name is Petra, and she is just a really sweet person. So this is a historical Highlander romance, and it is fantastic. We're dealing with people challenging stereotypical, like, gender stereotypes and stuff within this as well. It's fantastic. We're dealing with a kidnap story as well as, like, I must save my uncle kind of mission from her, and he is the head of his clan and he has all of his responsibilities. It's fantastic. It's really well done. I really enjoyed it. I plan on picking up more in this series, so you'll hear more about my thoughts later. Next we have a short novella, which is The Matchmaker's Mistletoe Mission, and this is clearly part of a longer running series, and so you're just kind of dropped in this story and expected to know what was going on. Because I didn't, that made it a little disheartening for me, but it was sweet, it was cute, it was a cute little Christmas story and a love story, and I liked that. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars. There wasn't anything really wrong with it, it just wasn't quite my cup of tea. Next we have Faker by Sarah Smith. Again, this is one that didn't really do anything wrong. We have a Filipino main character, and there was a lot of stuff within the story that was very well done, but I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. So it's just right there in the middle. It's a 3. I enjoyed it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I wanted to love it. So I don't have a lot to say about this one. I mean, they're coworkers. There's a little bit of an enemies to lovers thing, but I wanted a little more enemies. I wanted a little more tension there, and I just wasn't getting it. So it was fine. Like I say, again, it didn't do anything wrong. I think in future, this author could put out something great, but you could definitely tell this one was a first novel. So I have 2 digital volumes of manga I'm going to talk about. First up, we have Living Room Matsunaga-san Volume 6, which is just to continue on in an age gap boarding house romance. And I really liked where this one headed. It kind of challenged the age gap in a lot of ways. And I liked it. I really like what's going on in this series. We are going to be getting physical publishes of this starting next year, and I will continue to collect it physically, but I am going to continue to collect digitally until the physical publish is current with the digital publish. And then from there, I will just collect physically, I think. But I do really enjoy the series and the characters, and it's so well done. We said goodbye to one of the people in the boarding house, so that was really fun. So I'm interested to see who moves in and how that's going to challenge the dynamic of the house. And then next we have My Boss's Kitten. And I have a blog post about this particular volume of manga. It has problems. And I'm not going to say that it's not, but it was still wholly enjoyable. Essentially, we're dealing with a girl who's left at the altar, and because of this, she has to move out of the house that she had been renovating to live there with her spouse. And yeah, all he said was sorry and didn't show up on the day of. And the only thing she has going for her is she still has her job, which her team lead at work, I guess is what he is, very bluntly points out to her. And then from there, she's just at home wallowing. She's supposed to vacate by the end of the week. But as she's there, somebody walks into the house, and it happens to be this team lead. And he offers to let her stay there till she can find a place because, even though he bought the house, it's plenty big and he doesn't need all the space right now. So, and then he makes this comment of, if you were a kitten, I would keep you. And she likes that idea and meows at him, and things go from there. That's all I'm going to say about it, but it's problematic from the start. But I still really like it. I will leave the blog post linked down below as always, so you can definitely go and check that out there. So that is it for the digital reads. I've read a ton this month, guys, sorry. So what I'm going to do, because there is so much, I'm just going to briefly mention what I read during the Fall Into Manga Love readathon. And then if you want more details on any of these titles, you can definitely check that out. And there's some full series that got read, and I will be doing full blog posts on those upcoming soon. They should be up within the week. So anyways, let's go ahead and just show you what I read. So I read Mythical Beast Investigator Volume 2, Volumes 1 through 6 of Demon Love Spell, Volumes 3 and 4 of Strobe Edge, Volumes 2 through 5 of The Heroic Legend of Arslan, Volumes 1 through 7 of Behind the Scenes, which I will be doing an in-depth discussion on the Shojo and Tell podcast coming up. We're filming that tomorrow, and I am very excited to be discussing this on there. So once that is all released, that will be linked down below, but stay tuned for that. Count Fujiwara's Suffering, which I did DNF. I do plan on doing a dedicated video as to why coming up soon. And last but not least, we have Cardcaptor Sakura, the Collector's Edition, Volume 2, As Things Fall Down. All right, let's dig into the other things that I've read. So on the top of the stack here, we have Komi Can't Communicate Volume 3. This is a comedy-style manga about a girl with anxiety, social anxiety specifically, and it's so severe that she actually can't talk. While this is meant to be a comedy manga, there is a lot of really good discussions happening within it. Volume 2 in particular struck me really hard. This one was really fun. We're dealing with summer and hanging out with your friends in the summer and what social anxiety can look like for someone who's afraid to ask people to do things with them during the summer. So definitely check out Komi Can't Communicate if that sounds at all interesting to you. I really love the series. Next we have Magus of the Library Volume 2. You guys know I love this series. Volume 2 did not disappoint. I fell madly in love with this half-breed who loves to read and loves the library, and they are now on a quest to become a Magus of the Library and to basically be a librarian is essentially what a Magus of the Library is, and they all are specified. So they've gone for their test, and it's fantastic so far. I'm really enjoying it. Definitely check out the series if you love reading. Be right back. the battery was getting low, so I wanted to go ahead and plug it in so that I didn't lose. Continuing on, we have the Wise Wise Beasts of the Wizarding Wisdoms, and I never say this title right, but essentially this is a short story collection of creature boys' love stories, and this was all really sweet, and I really enjoyed it. And so you're in a magical school while this is all going on, and they're all approached a little bit differently, and so it makes for a really interesting dynamic. I do recommend checking this out. This is by Nagabe, which is the same mangaka that does The Girl from the Other Side. So the art style is much more sketch than you'll see in a lot of manga. It's got more of those rough lines rather than thick or thin full lines. So I just really enjoy Nagabe's art, so I think that was one of the big selling points of this one, but the stories were really sweet as well. Next we have volumes 1 through 3 of O Maidens in Your Savage Season, and I'm having mixed feelings and a slight existential crisis with this particular series. So I do plan on doing a dedicated video to more of my thoughts. Once that is done, I will leave that linked down below, but stay tuned for more of my thoughts coming up. Next on the stack, we have volume 9, which is the final volume of Tokyo Terroriba Girls, and I cried my poor heart. It was so good, guys. It ended in the only way Akiko Higashimura could have ended it. It was beautiful. It was perfect. I have no regrets in how this series ended. One thing I've noticed with Higashimura's writing is that they do tend to have more open-ended endings. So you're not going to have complete closure at the end of this story, so I'm going to warn you of that. But I am happy with what we get. And I love that she does it that way. It's perfect to me. I have no regrets. Definitely check it out. Next we have Phantom Tales of the Night. This is by Matsuri, and this is the Panels Book Club choice for the month of October. And I have to say I ended up really enjoying this. This is a yokai-centered story, and I will be doing a dedicated review to this one. I have lots of things coming up on the channel, guys. I'm really sorry. I've been slacking lately, but I promise lots of good things coming soon, and I promise I will talk about this soon. Next we have Beastars Volume 2, which I don't think I enjoyed quite as much as Volume 1, but I like where it's headed. I know some people haven't liked the direction that the story's gone, but I like where it's headed a lot, and there's a lot going on within the story that's good, and there are some things going on within the story that I wonder how they're going to handle. So that's all I'm going to say about Beastars. This is essentially like a Zootopia in school kind of situation. So that's all I'll say about like telling you about the series in general, because there's a lot going on and a lot of power dynamics going on within the hierarchy of the school, let alone the herbivores and the carnivores kind of situation. So I will let you guys go ahead and sample it for yourself, but know that though there are changes in the story, like where the story's headed in this volume, I'm okay with where it's headed. Next we have Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight Volume 9, and this one is very much about the older in this age gap romance taking responsibility and trying to do good by the younger member of our age gap. And I really like where this story was headed for sure, and I appreciate what they're trying to do with the story. All right, no more manga. The rest is all books, I promise. Next we have Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. This was just a really sweet graphic novel about one Halloween night. It's the last one of their senior year before they head off to college. And these two have been working together for the last couple of years, and it's just about their adventures of that night. I'm not going to say much more than that because I'm afraid it will spoil it because it is so short, but it's really sweet. It's really cute. It's not perfect, and I felt like some things by the end were pretty cliche and a little tired, but the art style is beautiful. Faith Erin Hicks did a fantastic job with the art on this one, and yeah, so definitely check it out. Next we have Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Sky. This was a buddy read that I was doing with Kira over at, I forget if it's the Book Bella or the Bella Book. Either way, she's linked down below. I really love her content. She's fantastic. And sadly, we both ended up DNFing this one. This was a story in which we felt like it wasn't edited enough. And it just felt a little tired and overdone. And yes, essentially we were both bored to tears, which is why we ended up DNFing it. I made it 150 pages in before I made that decision. So I didn't just do it based on the first 50 pages. I really gave it a good solid shot. And sadly, it was not a win. We do plan on buddy reading something else again in future because neither of us ended up enjoying this one. But we are excited to read something else. But I haven't read Her Crown's Game or Crown's Fate, so I can't compare the writing of the two, but I felt like an editor needed to do some more work on this one. Next, we have Mind Games by Shayna Silver. This was a buddy read I did with Lindsay over at Lindsay Tech before she went on a trip, and I ended up really enjoying this one. I would give this a solid 4 stars. There were some things within the story that I didn't quite guess and other things that I completely called from early on in the story, but essentially we're dealing with, you know, your memories being cataloged like files and someone hacking those files. It's really interesting, really intriguing. I really enjoyed how things played out. This one's more about how you get there rather than what happens when you get there. And it was just a really fun time. Definitely, I would give this 4 stars. It was just way fun for me. And then last but not least, we have Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I finally got this one read. Absolutely loved and adored it. Highly recommend Well Met. It may be my favorite romance of the year. This was just so smart and so witty. There's Shakespeare references, which makes my heart happy. And it was everything I wanted and more, because it has a soft enemies to lovers. It's not like super enemies, but it's like, you know, really, it's more Pride and Prejudice style where it's really bad first impressions, get changed later on kind of a situation. So I would compare it more to that kind of an enemies to lovers rather than like a truly we hate each other and then we end up loving each other by the end because we're just so frustrated. But anyways, this was so good. It all centers around a Renaissance fair, and it takes place over like April to September. So it's a fairly long amount of time. It's not like something that happens just in a couple of weeks. But the characters know each other for a while because they have all the rehearsals before the Ren Fair and then the Ren Fair. And it's just really good, guys. Definitely pick it up. Definitely recommend. So friends, that's what I've read so far in the month of October. It's a lot. I have not been reading as much the last few days, so I promise the second half won't be quite as extensive and long, though I do have some arcs that I've been reading and some things like that. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next one.